So I'll talk about now about obstacles in meditation. And to put into context an important aspect, I will talk in a very summarized way about the gunas. So all energy, all manifestation, and even prior to that is more or less divided into three gunas, which is tamas, rajas, sattva. So the tamasic aspect is, in psychological terms, which this is the important part, that which is important for us now, is characteristics are density, heavy, a sense of laziness, decay, lack of interest, depression, and disease and death. So, and then there is the opposite. This is dullness, something which collapses. Then we have rajas, rajasic energy, which is intense activity. Intense activity, greed-motivated activity. So restlessness, agitation, aggression, intensity, pride, greed, these are all faculties of rajas. And then we have sattva, which is purity, that which is stable, pure, how do you say, blissful. It is the guna which we want to achieve. So all these aspects, they have habits conditioned to them that increase this predominance in your mind, and that will reflect in the spiritual path what you can achieve, how high can you fly. So in the tamasic aspect, if it is too big, then you'll be too depressed, without any energy, without any will, probably ill already, or going to that direction. These are, like, I'm making like a big example, exaggerated example. There are people that are in that condition, but I'm just creating this example. So you will not be able to meditate. You will not want to meditate because, well, you don't feel like it, and it's you're going on the opposite direction. So a person which is too tamasic doesn't have any energy, doesn't have any interest in life, wants to eat a lot, just stay idle, a lot of laziness, a lot of mental, how do you call this? It doesn't think straight. It cannot think straight. The mind is clouded, is dull. The body also will reflect these qualities. And it will be sometimes a weak body, even if it is a fat body or not, but a weak body because there's no exertion. And this is the lowest of all, the lowest of all. Then rajas. Rajas is someone who is very agitated, very active, proeminent action. Of course, that which is with self-interest attached, even if it is a spiritual activity. It's very difficult for a very rajasic person to serve, because it will always want something in return. And it's very difficult to cut away from that, but still possible. So these tendencies, so this person is usually a strong person, a strong-willed person, no depression here, probably burnout or something like that, it can happen. And the mind is very agitated. It may be confused also, it may bring confusion, yes, or narrow-minded. Um, I don't remember the word, but just to give you an idea about this. So one is dullness, the other is excess movement, agitation. And even if it isn't agitation, it is polarized intent. Sattva. Sattva is the qualities of the saints. They are gentle, they are kind, the mind is still, there's no dependencies, the mind likes to meditate, likes silence, likes goodness, being compassionate. These are the traits of a sattvic mind. So everybody will find a mixture of all these three characteristics. Of course, in the beginning, more predominantly in tamasic and rajas, tamas and rajas. And this means different challenges because you need to transform this energy into sattvic energy, which is more conducible for meditation, for silence, stillness, for spiritual evolution. The other ones, yeah, both of the other ones, they just keep you trapped, conditioned. So the resistances that you will find, they are according to the presence in which degree of these energies. So you are conditioned by it until you don't, as long as you don't understand that this can be changed, can be worked, and the means to do it. So as long as you don't understand this, you are conditioned by these energies. But there's a mechanics that you need to understand, that you cannot jump from tamas to sattva, for example. This is a very good example in the spiritual context. Seekers going, never minding about meditation because they don't like the discipline, they cannot sit straight, they don't like the repetition, all which is a part of meditation. They want the well-being that comes from them, so they jump stages. They try to jump stages so if I sit straight, it's very intense for the body. It's better to be relaxed, sitting in a comfortable position, sometimes even lying down, and to experience that peace and bliss, that well-being that comes from that, being in a presence, like they say. But this is trying to jump stages. So it's not going through the rajasic and not transforming the tamas into rajas and then rajas into sattva. They want to jump the stage. And this doesn't work. So you may have a sense of calmness, but eventually it's just a circumstantial calmness. If you change the posture, suffering will be there again. And if it is coming, it's because it's there. It's not the posture that is bringing it. And suffering at different levels. So tamas has to be turned into rajas and rajas into sattva. And this is where service comes in, for example, because it's not any activity. So first, if it's too tamasic, any activity is good. But the best activity, the one that transforms into sattva, is the activity that has no self-interest involved. It is the activity that benefits everyone but you. Because if it has some greed motivation, it will not turn into sattva. It will just turn tamas into rajas. So as long as there is this self-interest, it's transforming tamas into rajas, but not rajas into sattva. So in the beginning, it's unavoidable. To get out from tamas is through self-interest, more or less, because that mind is too dull. even to aspire for something higher. Probably depressed too. So some activity, intense activity. And the mind will resist, the body will resist. But this is what you need to do to transform this resistance, and going beyond that resistance, transforming resistance into activity. That is transforming tamas into rajas. And you can only move to sattva through rajas. So it's unavoidable. But the more self-interest you can cut, the better. But eventually then, when you purged all tamas out of the system, out of your mind, then you will have to focus on this rajasic, on removing all self-interest. And that is through continuous service, devotion, and surrender, to transform these qualities. Understand that these gunas, they determine your vision of yourself and your vision of the world, your understanding of everything, teachings, your aspirations, everything. They change, the vision changes, understanding changes. So someone who is tamasic, reading or listening to this video, it will have a different understanding from someone with a rajasic tendency more proeminent, and a very different one from sattvic. So this is why it is important to pick up a scripture and read it again and again and again and again, because your understanding will change, and then you'll pick up more and more. You will take more out. If you read it once, you think, okay, so I've read it already. Okay, yes, but that was according to a certain level of reality, not beyond that. So put this in perspective. You cannot jump from tamasic to rajasic. As long as laziness is there, this is something that everybody can understand and perceive. It is tamasic. And then you will experience different side effects because of that. And for that activity, the more intense, the better, and the less conditioned by self-interest. And eventually, you will not remove it all at once, because first you'll have to deal with the tamasic energy, but then eventually, as you finish this tamasic, then you'll have to dedicate yourself to remove completely self-interest out of the equation. And that is with seva, service, devotion, and surrender.